In the top stories, Minister Steve Blackett commends people who report abuse. QEH kitchen staff are the latest to stage protest action. 16-year-old murder accused remanded. And we are all tied up after the first day of the Davis Cup of tennis. Welcome to Nation News for Friday, September 18th, 2015. I am Janelle Ward. Minister of Social Care Steve Blackett today commended members of the public who have been reporting alleged abuse to the Child Care Board. The board is under fire for the way it has handled several high-profile cases involving children, all of which had been reported by either family members or neighbors. The latest case involved 3 children who were currently residing in London.
Child Care Board's record indicate an escalation in reports of neglect and abuse involving these siblings 1 year later. During this period, the board received calls, including calls from community residents, and those calls resulted in the Royal Barbados Police Force, school officials, and the parents cooperating with the board's investigation. The children involved in this case are now residing with their father in the United Kingdom. Such community response in the plight of these children is to be applauded and commended, and indeed encouraged. This indeed underscores my position that while it is understood that government is committed to child protection in Barbados, it is important to recognize that the state alone cannot comprehensively respond to the range and growing complexity of social issues such as they arise.
The minister said Barbados has offered to provide psychological counseling to the children. It would be facilitated through the High Commission in London. He did not comment on the Jahan King and Shamar Weeks cases, which are still being investigated by police. Industrial action sprang up again in Barbados on Friday. This time, kitchen staff at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital walked off the job, protesting unbearable heat made worse as the large extractor fans by the stoves were not working. NUPW President Akani McDowell said they were also querying the use of relief staff.
They are upset also that relief workers have been brought in from the private sector to facilitate the patients in the interim. They are saying that sometimes they find it difficult to get someone to replace them when a worker is on vacation or on sick leave. But they are confused now because the management has found it feasible to bring in an entire set of private sector workers to facilitate the process when they are saying to the workers that they cannot replace them when one of them is on sick leave or on vacation.
A statement from the hospital said the contingency plan, which was put in place for Tropical Storm Thomas, was activated to ensure meal service for patients was not interrupted. Workers have vowed to stay off the job until the situation is fixed. An attempt to get a 16-year-old accused of murder admitted to the government industrial school was rejected by the courts on Friday. Attorney Hal Gollop QC put forward an argument to have Chaudhry Antonio Gobin, a student of Long Gap, Spooners Hill, St. Michael, sent to GIS. However, it was rejected on the grounds that Gobin had turned 16 in July. He was remanded to HMP Dodds until October 16th. Gobin is accused in the murder of neighbor Shaquem Turton, who was struck with a rock on Tuesday and died at home the following day. A task force will soon be put in place to review Barbados' National Draft Sustainable Energy Policy. Senator Darcy Boyce made the revelation while delivering remarks at the launch of the Energy Smart Fund Public Awareness and Education campaign on Friday. The senator said Barbados was committed to sustainable forms of energy as global warming posed a threat to the island through rising sea levels, drought, and beach erosion.
Normally, we focus on renewable energy and on energy efficiency practices and rains throughout the world depend on the price of oil. We intend, however, to ensure that this time, this national effort is sustained despite the current decrease in the price of oil and the consequent fall in electricity prices and prices at the pump.
Meanwhile, Chief Energy Conservation Officer William Hines said by making smarter energy choices, you can...
Even although 20 or 30 years ago we can afford to lose 50 cents, today because the loss of money or because of the loss of energy is significantly more, what we actually really need to do is to be smart. We need to be smart because the price of electricity has gone up, and because the price of electricity has gone up, it means that when we lose energy, when we waste energy, it's a bigger amount of money. For many people in Barbados, you can actually, by being smart in terms of using more energy efficient devices, you can actually save a couple of $100s a month, not only in terms of the electricity that you use in your home, but in terms of the payment that you pay in terms of gasoline if you have a car going to work.
Sea bathers who cross the Spring Garden Highway to Brandon's Beach will soon find it much easier to do so. Transport Minister Michael Lashley broke ground Friday on a pedestrian crossing which will be constructed near Wisers. Pierce Adamson welcomed the move.
Coming from different districts, the farm, Dickens, Belfield, the Blackett area, Eagle Hall, West Bay Road, it really needed, so it's a welcome addition to the highway.
Mr. Lashley said it was a temporary solution, but it was better than no solution. A 26-year-old man escaped with minor injuries after his car overturned on the ABC highway Friday. Nico Beckles' car apparently struck one of the solar-powered signs on the highway between Hothersall and Warren, St. Michael, before overturning and landing in the ditch. He received assistance from taxi driver Patrick Rollock, a trained paramedic, until an ambulance arrived. People with credit cards and other online accounts have been warned to be vigilant as online fraud was on the increase. The warning came from Executive Director of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, Reginald Farley.
Online fraud enabled by information technology is really the majority of what we're seeing now, and it's not necessarily being done from here, it could be anywhere in the world. So our message really to our members as well as the individuals and the public is to be vigilant and to report suspicious transactions early, because even if your loss is not great, the fact that you have reported and other persons have reported may indicate a trend, which allows authorities to put measures in place.
Mr. Farley was at the time attending a joint ICAB Chartered Accountant seminar earlier this week. He said banks and other financial institutions have done a good job to keep up to date, but some non-financial institutions have not been as efficient. In sport, the Davis Cup tie between Barbados and Ecuador is even at 1-1 after the first day. Darian King won the opening match against Ivan Endara 6-4, 6-4, 6-2. But Barbados' number 2, Hayden Lewis, lost 6-1, 6-4, 6-4 to Emilio Gomez. The reverse singles will be played on Saturday at the National Tennis Center and the doubles on Sunday. And finally, a sea otter that has been diagnosed with asthma, yes, asthma, has been trained to use an inhaler. The doctor at the Seattle Aquarium made the diagnosis when they realized otter Mishka was having difficulty breathing when smoke from a wildfire was in the area. The trainer is now using food to teach the otter how to push her nose in the inhaler and take a deep breath. It is the same type of medication humans with asthma use. And that is the Nation News for Friday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Remember to pick up your papers over the weekend or subscribe to our e-paper. Look out for the Weekend Buzz a little later and have a wonderful weekend.